Um, we were suggested that this talk might be called Lessons from the Morgenthaler Dinner Table. We thought that was a little too homey, but in some sense that's where many of these ideas derived. There was a constant flow of discussion around issues and ideas of entrepreneurship, of leadership, of management, and we want to just kind of take you briefly through what those were. So I want to lay the background here. David Morgenthaler, at age 22, was volunteered to join the Army. The Army Corps of Engineers, was shipped out to North Africa, was at the ripe old age of 22, was put in charge of a troop of 300 men, not all of them Stanford students, and not all of them highly motivated or even very well disciplined. And his job was to build landing strips in North Africa, starting in Morocco, then Algeria, then Tunisia, and then on into Italy during that period. During that time, with no particular training in leadership, he learned a lot about it. And there's some great war stories that I will save for perhaps later, but if there's time, there's some really wonderful stories. With that, I'm going to turn back to David, and do you want to talk a bit about those lessons?
Well, leadership is a very important subject in schools these days, and particularly for people like Stanford and MIT, where I'm active on the visiting committee of the business school at MIT, the Sloan School. And it's interesting because 60 years ago, or 60-some years ago when I graduated, I was given an officer's manual of about 350 pages, and it had a half page of generalizations on leadership. When I got into the Army and was given a company of green recruits to train, they made, in the expansion of the Army, they made us company commanders very quickly with no company duty. And if possible, I had a group of men that draftees, very unwilling, very reluctant to be there, but ordered to be there by the draft board. And we had to train them and make them into a working group of engineers. Leadership in my manual from MIT had exactly half a page of practically useless generalizations. So you had to learn leadership on the job with a group of very reluctant people. And contrary to many impressions, you don't just order things in the Army and have them happen. Some of the points for leadership that we're thinking about today, which becomes more important and will become more important to each of you, because as the world goes forward, more and more of the high growth areas, of the important things, particularly to the advanced countries like the United States, our leadership will be technology based because the high growth industries will be technology based, and people with technology backgrounds will be increasingly needed and will be required to take charge of more and more of these companies. It was an advantage in my career to have had a technical background, and we will find, I think, that more and more of you will find that's helpful to you in terms of leadership. But what are the fundamental things that you think about in leadership? People use different words, and you need to get your definition straight when you're talking about leadership. I like to divide the activities of a CEO into partly things which I like to call managership, the things they teach you in business courses, and partly into people leadership, which are having to do with people as such, and the kinds of things that are required as a very personal sort of relationship. Basically, leaders have to have or find a vision. It isn't necessarily that you originate the vision, but you ought to find one and adopt it and have it for your organization, a sense of the mission that you're trying to carry out. Secondly, after you have that vision, you have the goals that you tend to have, you need to have a genuinely implacable will to accomplish those goals. But implacability about the goals is not enough. Following that, as we learned very strongly in the Army, and one of the strong principles we had was, you must carry out your mission. This will happen no matter what. But at the same time then, having having planned to carry out the mission, you've got to be concerned about your people. You've got to care about your people. Either in civilian life or in military life, your people must not just be numbers. They must not be regarded as somebody or something as just a commodity of something that can be turned over. It needs to be a very personal relationship to have a highly motivating kind of leadership. The leader basically has to be able to inspire people. This is a part of the leadership aspect. He needs to motivate some extraordinary achievement and some extraordinary effort out of ordinary people. And a corollary to that, which sometimes is a shock to your generation, is the leader's got to be willing to inflict some pain. In fact, one of the many tests of leadership that's talked about is a willingness to how much pain will people bear? How strongly will they follow leadership? And how much pain is the leader willing to undergo himself and to apply to his own family in order to carry out the goals? This is, I don't mean to convey too much of a militaristic attitude to this, because it's as true in civilian life as it is in the Army. There are... You ready for this?
Yep.
Okay, you want to take it over?
Sure. I guess the next point is that leadership turns out that different things motivate different people. Not everyone's motivations are the same. Not everyone's amenability to the goals of a team or an organization are the same. Some people you will find simply want clarity. They just want to know what they're supposed to do. What they're supposed to do. They want to be shown what to do, and that's enough. Others need incentives. They need recognition for a job well done. They need rewards to motivate the achievement of that job. And still others are reluctant and need to be coerced. And not in the kinds of companies that you'll be working in by and large, but there are a segment of society where that's true. So leaders need to understand what motivates each individual person. Motivation and leadership is a one-to-one kind of relationship with an individual, where you have to reach out, understand what motivates that person, and adopt your leadership style, adapt your leadership style as appropriate. But most of all, the leader needs to project an implacability that this will happen. The goal will be achieved with you, without you, over you, under you, or through you. This goal is going to happen. Leadership is always put to the test. Over a period of time, I can think of no circumstance where the leader of an organization is not challenged, certainly by external events, but as often by people within the organization, as to, is this the mission we should be undertaking? Is this a realistic plan to undertake this mission? Do we have the resources to undertake this mission? Should we really bear the pain that's associated with this mission? And so a leader will always be tested, inevitably. One issue is sort of the challenge to leadership. If I resist enough, will the leader back down? This inevitably happens to leaders. And there's a question of authenticity. Does the leader really mean this? And so as someone leading an organization, as many of you will find yourselves in a position, large or small, I assert that the majority of people in this room will find yourself in positions of leadership. Your leadership will be challenged and tested. And then there's the issue of discipline. So to a large degree, you get the kind of behaviors in an organization that you are willing to live with. If you are willing to sanction behaviors that are outside and beyond the bounds of the mission, then you are much better able to achieve that mission. So bottom line, be clear, be focused about what's to be achieved, and be implacable about its ultimate achievement. David?